Today's conversation will touch on suicide and may be triggering for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
I am Pina Crispo. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Not That Mom podcast. Lately, I have been spiraling and not feeling myself. And to be honest, I feel like I'm a prisoner in my own body. And recently I came across some content on TikTok and I was like, whoa, who is this guy? And what is he talking about? Because I feel like he's talking directly to me. And that, of course, is now my guest, Ian Garfunkel. He is an executive function coach specializing in ADHD. And Ian, I think I have ADHD. And did a doctor tell me? No, I just came up with it myself.
There's a lot of self-diagnosis going on with ADHD and ADD. Can you kind of go over what it is that you're feeling like?
Well, I can't focus. I'm flighty. I'm a spaz.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. A high energy, and then I get frustrated when I can't make sense of things,
Yeah.
right? And it's
So
just like, and I can't sit down and focus on something.
it's hard. And here's what I'm noticing, right? So there's a lot of, to start with this, there is a lost generation of women that are undiagnosed with ADHD because in the past, in the past, this was solely and strictly just a male-dominated disorder.
Mhm.
And there is an entire realm of women that have been forgotten and thrown to the wayside, that most of their life they've been told that they're depressed, that they have anxiety, that they have mood disorders, and so on and so forth. And they've been loaded up and concocted with this mixture of medication to serve these surface level symptoms that in reality are not really what they're suffering from. And in my line of work, I deal with a lot of older women, a lot. And a lot of them
I'm not like in that category, right?
no,
Just
I'm sure you're not. No, you please. Come on. That skin, that
we just
skin
need
is
to clarify.
flawless, and those teeth are too damn nice to be in that category. But so women who are getting older and they're crossing the chain of 40s into their 50s and they start going through menopause and are premenopausal, what happens is there are three hormones that start to decrease. There's estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And when your estrogen decreases, the neurochemical that is automatically tied to estrogen is dopamine. And dopamine is in charge of our reward and pleasure, mood, motivation, movement, excitement. And what happens is, cognitively speaking, it's a diabolical catastrophe that takes place for women. And like you said, a lot of them start to suffer from ruminating thought patterns, brain fog, hypervigilance, hypersensitivity, poor focus, poor memory, poor concentration, and increased irritability. And it's not just these hot flashes and it's, oh, there we go, struck a nerve. It's not just hot flashes or, these cyclical cycles of your period. Because if I had to take a guess, what's happening is that during your cycle, when you actually start to come into it, you feel much better. And then when those 2 weeks go by and you start to PMS again, you get a fluctuation in these moods and in these issues that start to take precedence. And it's just catastrophic for you cognitively.
It's a disaster.
It's a mess.
And I feel so bad for my boyfriend.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because I feel like I'm raging all the time. And so the TikTok that I saw you talking about, or say the TikTok that I saw, this is exactly what you were talking about on it. And I was like, oh my God, yes. I think this is exactly what I have been going through because I am that anxious person. My anxiety has come, like, I honestly feel like there was just a switch. No
Yeah.
anxiety, full blown anxiety. I'm like, I don't like this. Go away. How do we stop it? And earlier, I just want to rewind a sec. You said ADHD and ADD. First of all, what's the difference there?
Right.
Because I have no idea.
It's a phenomenal question. And do you mind if I I unpack this just a little bit?
Yes, go for it.
You have ADD, which is attention deficit disorder, and then you have ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And I despise those terminologies because this has nothing to do with attention whatsoever. This disorder, per se, is more of a regulation disorder. It's a regulation of biological circadian rhythm. It's a dysregulation of immune system. So people with ADD, ADHD, they naturally have higher allergies, immune disorders, food allergies, for example. It's a dysregulation of their reward system. It's a dysregulation of their sensory processing system. It's a dysregulation of their entire being. And if attention was part of this deficit or deregulation, you wouldn't be able to have individuals with ADD or ADHD be able to hyper focus so well on so many different types of tasks. So what this is, it encompasses a wide variety of different things. And the best way for me to explain it, you know, erectile dysfunction, right? ADHD and ADD is like ED of the brain. So you have a guy that has ED that has the desire to perform, but the physical ability to do so is disconnected. An individual with ADHD does not lack intelligence. They do not lack the desire to want to do the task. There's a disconnect between intent and execution. So the individual with ADHD wants to task initiate. They want to do the work. They want to organize. They want to plan. The same way that a dude with ED wants his wiener to work.
Yeah.
But the brain isn't sending the neurological signals to the body in order for it to do so. And that's why this entire thing encompasses a dysregulation.
Wow. And that's so interesting that you even mentioned allergies and
Yeah.
sensitivities and stuff like that, and things that our body go through, because I have an autoimmune disease. I have Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, right? I have seasonal environmental allergies, but also food allergies. So I have to carry an EpiPen with me.
Yep.
So when you said that, I was like, "Oh, this is really interesting."
It's really unique because that's part of ADHD that most people don't know about. And there's really only a couple doctors that are really talking about it and really unpacking how it affects an individuals with ADHD and that are neurodivergent, their nervous system, you know, a little differently than the actual neurotypical person. And that's more newfound research. But, you know, you look into this and those allergens, you know, that taps into their nervous system per se. And we have a completely deregulated nervous system and deregulated immune system. So the both of those combined, again, it just creates and fosters this internal chaotic environment, which does not allow the individual to prosper and foster as well as his peers.
See, and again, you say nervous system. And I feel like over the past few years specifically, my nervous system is completely shot.
Do you feel
All
like you're
I'm
in
looking
constant
for
state
is
of
for
life?
peace.
Yeah, no, you're not going to get that, you know, and you can get it, right? I'm going to offer you tools at the end of this,
Okay,
but
good. I need them.
I'm going to give them to you.
Okay,
But
good.
the problem is when you're dealing with ADD and ADHD, right? Naturally, we have a very heightened amygdala. And that's the part of our brain where if you go back to the primordial times, cavemen, that's our fight or flight response. So all the feelings that would happen, fight, flight, and freeze, we naturally have a higher level of cortisol in our body by 40 to 45%. So we're naturally tapped in to our amygdala, which then shuts off our prefrontal cortex, which is our ability to think and to consume information properly and makes us super impulsive. So you're probably in this constant state of these high beta frequency going on inside of your nervous system where you're constantly scanning for danger when meanwhile there is no danger. It's just that innate part of you that's deregulated, like I said before, head to toe.
So, the overthinking then,
Oh, ruminating, big time.
right?
Yes.
Because let me tell you, Ian, I come up with the most fucked up scenarios and
Sure.
there are no facts to back them up. And I know it's not real. Oh, but I thought of it. And now I will sit here and ponder it all night, lose sleep over it, and be like, nope, it's real, Pina.
And that's one of the problems with not only ADHD and ADD, in typically we have a pattern and a sense of constant rumination, and that taps into a sensory overload or overreactivity to sensory processing from internal stimuli, right? And I'll get into that in a little bit. But as women who have ADD or ADHD get older, once they reach that age where they're where they have perimenopause or they're premenopause, whatever it is,
Yeah.
they find themselves in this vacillating loop of endless rumination. Endless.
Okay. So what you're saying that I'm not that crazy?
No, you're not crazy at all. And it's so
Oh
much more
my
common than you
God.
think. And if you have a doctor who's trying to prescribe you any anti-anxiety or anything like that, you tell that doctor to go take it deep, because you don't need to take any of that. And it at times can add more gasoline to an open fire.
Okay. I'm really happy that you mentioned that, because, and I want your thoughts on this. About a year ago, I started to microdose mushrooms,
Mhm.
and I was feeling better, and it was helping me focus, because I'm also a part-time prof at a college here in Toronto. And let me tell you, marking these assignments are deadly for me.
I'm
Like, I
sorry.
cannot, like, it will take me hours because I just can't sit there and focus. So I was like, okay, that was the thought of trying them. I'm like, maybe it'll help me focus. And I did notice a difference, and it was helping me. And then I just stopped them. So literally 2 days ago, I placed another order, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this again, because the last thing I want to do, and you know what? Like, nothing against those that go to the doctor and they get their meds. And if that works for you, you do you. I'm going to fucking do me. And I'm going to give this a go another time, because I want to go the natural route. I
Right.
don't want to be medicated.
So that's one of the problems. I think that everyone, in a sense, whores themselves out for the medical industry now. And I don't believe that that industry in and of itself wants to keep us healthy, but that's neither here nor there. Okay.
I'm with you.
You
I'm
know,
with
but
you.
going back to your original sentiment and statement about microdosing, I am somebody who is a strong advocate for plant medicine and plant technology. I myself have used it in large doses hundreds of times for ritualistic purposes where I intend to speak with, what I believe
Higher
my
beings.
God is, and very open ceremonial type things. But microdosing, I can get biblical for a second. If
Go
you go
for
back,
it.
if
Go
you
for
go
it.
back into Genesis 1:1 and you go over the Garden of Eden, everything that was made in that garden was given to us by God to heal and nurture man.
Yeah.
And I believe that plant medicine, whether it's ayahuasca, mushrooms, DMT, things like that, they all serve a purpose for different things. Mushrooms, psilocybin, okay, they are notorious for neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. So what they do is they rewire and refire the neural circuitry in your brain. So if you have severed neural connections, you can see on a live scan all of these neurons going back towards one.
No.
Oh yeah. And then
What?
linking and rewiring in real time on psilocybin. You also, when you go through trauma, you develop these really rigid peaks and valleys in the brain, and that's where our somatic trauma is held in the body, right? It ties into our muscle fascia, but our brain is a supercomputer, remembers all of that. It develops these rigid peaks and valleys. Neural genesis will smooth out those peaks and valleys from psilocybin, and it's what also allows you to objectively look at the trauma while you're on mushrooms and be able to heal from it. There's so much beauty behind plant medicine, plant technology, magic mushrooms, psilocybin. They are the gift that God has left us behind to actually heal the mind, body, spirit, and soul. 100%.
Okay, you don't understand how happy this makes me.
Oh, I'm telling you, you will notice unbelievable changes that no medication in this world will ever have the benefit of offering you, ever.
And I felt so good when I was doing it. And I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it's one of those things that in your head, you're just like, "Oh, I feel so good." And you don't realize that it's, the microdosing that's helping you. And then you're like, okay, I don't need this.
100%.
But now, being off of it for a long time, I'm like, no, I feel like I'm grasping for any kind of help,
Yes.
right? And I'm like, okay, we're doing this again. So let me tell you, they told me that my order shipped and I cannot wait for it to
Well,
arrive.
I'm telling you, you will notice because even subconsciously, it removes your subjective emotional tie to a situation and it allows you to be way more objective, way quicker, right? So let's say you're sitting in traffic and normally you would respond by flipping off the guy next to you that cuts you off. Even on a microdose, it allows you to look at that and just be like, all right, cool, no problem. Go where you're going to. And I notice from when I microdose compared to when I don't, there is that big disconnect in my emotional subjugation and with the removal of it when I'm on it. Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
insane. And you know what? I need to find a video because I want to see what you were saying, how like, when you're on it, it rewires
Oh, it does.
things.
You can see it live time. You will literally see a severed neural connections doing this, and they start to sprout new neural pathways and they link and then reconnect live time. It's insane.
See, it's so interesting because I honestly feel that like plant medicine has such a bad vibe and stigma still in 2025. And so many people are running to the doctor and getting their prescription. And I've seen people I know and love that are on them or have been on them, and it has changed them and not in a good way. And that's why I've just
Right.
been like, no, I don't want to do this.
Well, you look at medication, right, that's prescribed to you, and then you go on one medication, which then has all these different ailments that follow suit. Now you got to go on another medication, which has these other ailments, and now you need to go on another medication to fix
Yeah.
those ailments. And it's one connected linear chain. I could use a statin drug, which lowers cholesterol, for example. Cholesterol is the molecule of life. Every doctor that tells you that you need to lower your cholesterol, idiot. Get rid of them. The people who lived longest in Sweden had the highest LDL of cholesterol in the world. And when you go on a statin to lower your cholesterol, you wind up, you start to get ED because your penis actually needs cholesterol for the blood flow to work, and you decrease serotonin in your brain, which is your happy chemical. So now you need to go on an antidepressant, and now you also need to go on a little blue pill for it to work, and now you have all these other complications that come from it. Every time a medication is prescribed, there is a linear chain of other detriments that follow through.
Dude, that's fucked up.
I know. I know.
I didn't know, like, how many people I know are on cholesterol medication? I would never think that or link the two
Yep.
together. I've never done my research on that.
Thanks. So, like, here's the thing about cholesterol, right? If you go back 127 years ago, this woman, not to bore you with the history, I'll make this super quick. This woman who started the Seventh day Adventist church bumped her head, had a vision. God told her meat was evil. That church is in charge, and they partnered up with Kellogg's. They're in charge of who created the food pyramid, which is the biggest fallacy in the entire world. Okay. All of the literature that you read in textbooks that are in colleges and hospitals and places like that, based off the Seventh day Adventist church. The high grain diet, no protein diet, that's her. That's why cholesterol is demonized. Because if you go back into the early 1900s, all people ate were high fat diets: meat, eggs, and whole butter. No heart attacks. There was almost no autism. You didn't have stroke. You didn't have all these cognitive defects. So even in my line of work, the first thing I do when I target one of my clients, because I like to do everything holistically, as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I fix their diet right away. I put them on a ketogenic diet. I'm going to shove as much fat in your mouth as humanly possible the right way and the good amount of fat, and we're going to eliminate sugars. We're going to eliminate processed foods. We're going to eliminate carbs, because if you never eat a carb a day in your life again, you will live and thrive. If you never eat another fat again, essential fats are the key to life. You will die. You will die.
Yeah.
So that's like a whole nother thing. So going back to the statin thing, yes. Okay.
Okay.
That's a big
Okay.
issue that men face that I deal with in my field, because they're on all these different, antipsychotics and antidepressants and anti this. And then we go back to the first medication they were ever prescribed,
And it
Statin.
starts with something so what
Yep.
we think is so minute and something like just like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, cholesterol meds,"
Yeah, it's not.
but it
It's not.
spirals out of
Uh-huh.
control.
Yep, and everything in your body is connected. Everything.
Oh my gosh. And I know that you work with so many people when it comes to this and like as young as children
Yeah.
and like, way into adulthood.
Yep. Yep.
And so you just mentioned men as well. And I know that we were talking about women and being undiagnosed and all that stuff. But another thing you do is you talk about mental health.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a huge mental health. Thank you for saying that, by the way.
It's
That's like
huge.
that's really my life's
Your
purpose
wheelhouse kind of thing.
in my
Yeah.
life. I am a huge mental health advocate. Outside being an executive function coach, I am a life coach and I specialize in personal development, growth, PTSD, trauma informed coaching, things like that. And that's really where my personal business thrives the most, is really tapping in to the struggles that these individuals face and leading them towards a path of trying to find as much healing as humanly possible.
And I think that that is so important. And I loved reading that about you because mental health, like I'm a big advocate for like taking care of ourselves, mind, body, soul. And I will often show up on social media, on my stories, whether I'm having a good day, whether I'm having an okay day, whether I'm bawling my eyes out, like ugly crying, look like a hot mess. But I just feel it's so important that we always share and talk about it so that it isn't like this stigma that it's like, oh gosh, no, no, no. Let's mask it. Let's not discuss it.
Correct.
Let's hide it. Let's put it aside. Right. And I feel that, like, and I can see why it's also, a big thing for you because there is a huge connection between ADD, ADHD, mental health.
Big time. You just hit the nail right on the head. And so many I have ADHD. I grew up with it. And it was something that I struggled with in my younger years so much. And as I became a teenager, then I suffered my own mental health battles. And I really went down some of the darkest paths that I think most people have ever embarked on and journeyed through. And it led me through some really tumultuous times and really chaotic times, which were very dark. And it led me down a path of almost taking my own life. And miraculously, that was intervened, which is what put me on this path. And now when I'm with these kids, I see so much of myself in them, because a lot of people think that ADD and ADHD, it's just this executive function deficit, right? You can't plan, you can't organize, you can't task initiate. That's the bullshit nonsense that comes with ADHD. The emotional turmoil that these individuals face existentially, of not feeling good enough, of feeling
Mhm.
like they don't belong, of
Yes.
feeling like they don't fit in, and feeling like they have no one to turn to, and then isolating themselves, and then going out of their way with this trauma response to people please. And if they're
Yeah.
not people pleasing, then what they're doing is they're inverting and isolating, which then is making them be arrogant and rude to their outside environment, which in turn gets them nowhere either. And it's such a vicious cycle that these young men and women go through from having that disconnect from their authentic self. That is the hardest part of my job to see. And it's hard to even remove my own emotion out of it sometimes, because I'm sitting with kids that are 10, 11, 12 saying, I want to kill myself. I don't feel good about myself. I'm comparing myself to everybody. And I remember being
Being
that
there.
age, saying that and feeling that. And you have to hold back tears when you're
Yeah.
talking to them. And it's so heartbreaking, but it's also so beautiful at the same time, because I didn't have me at that age.
They have this safe space. They have
They
someone to go to and talk to. I think that's huge.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a lot of the young men that I deal with, and I don't look like, an executive function coach. I know what the typical function coach looks like. I don't look like the typical life coach. These young men have a sense of relatability, and it's almost like they can see themselves in me, which allows them to open up even more, to want to connect, to want to communicate. Because like you said, you show up every day, and that's how you heal. It's establishing and cultivating and curating community. That's how
Absolutely.
individuals heal, is by community and being around those that they feel safe and comfortable with.
And I think we owe it to people, especially with all the tools we have. It's 2025. We have this power of social media that every day is evolving and changing.
Yeah.
And so if you have that power, in the palm of your hands, and you can turn it on and do some good with it, then why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you share with your community? You know what I mean? That, hey, not everything is coming up, rainbows and lollipops 24/7. I have my shit ass days. I have my days where I sit here and I ugly cry or I don't want to get out of bed or I can't get out of bed. And then I have days where like, fuck, life is good. And I'm going to go outside and I'm going to celebrate it, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's the problem. A lot of people use social media for the wrong things now because there's this image to project.
Yeah.
There's this fallacy and this lie to project that either they have everything figured out or they're better than everybody else. And it's become this superficial race to see who's got their shit together most and who's got more than the other.
Yeah.
And in reality, social media could be constructed to help and assist those around them, which is really why, like you said, you show up. It's why I show up every day on my page. You started following me a little while ago. If you've noticed, every day I post just like a little quote in the
Yes, every
morning.
morning.
Every morning.
And
It's
I
up.
love it.
Every morning I post a little good morning quote, and it's something that's so small that I started doing about 4 weeks ago. I get hundreds of messages a day. You don't know how much I needed to hear this.
Yes.
You don't know how much this means to me. And like, I'm writing it because that's how I'm feeling in the moment. Like, that's for me, but it's for you as much as it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a reminder
Yeah.
I give to myself, but you forget how many people are impacted by the smallest act of love. And it
I
does
have
give so much wonder.
But I have to say, when, like right now, when you said I post, and I'm like, I knew exactly where you were going because I now am looking forward to seeing those good mornings because it makes me smile. And it's really funny because it's been quite a few years now. I want to say at least 5 years for me that every morning on my Instagram stories, I post a good morning and I take a picture in bed before I jump out, before I go for my morning pee, wash my face, comb my hair, no makeup, no nothing, no filters. I take a picture and I'm like, this is me.
Authenticity at its finest.
This is it. No filter, no nothing. I don't give a fuck. And I pair it up with a song because music to me is one of my forms of medicine,
Healing.
right? So I love that you do that because I was like, oh my God, this is Ian's version of my good mornings.
Yes. Yes, and it's those good mornings, my good mornings, or literally just the simple check-ins. It's such an easy thing just to make
Yeah.
somebody's day that much better. I mean, my best friend, this is a guy that I would drag my knuckles through glass and lava
Oh,
for,
I love
and I
it.
wouldn't even think twice about it. And him and I, every morning, religiously for the last year, send each other good
You
morning
guys send
texts.
like, good morning, babe. How did you
That's it.
sleep?
Good morning. Good morning, bro. I love you. Good morning, baby. Good morning, handsome. Good morning, sexy.
Oh
Or
my
we send each
God.
other voice notes that are 3 minutes long. Go have a good day, King. You're going to move mountains today. You're going to crush it. Nobody does it better than you. And
Oh my God. I want in on this.
we don't miss mornings. But you want to know what it does? I learned this from Andrew Huberman. It sets up that willingness to, one, accept love from somebody else,
Yeah.
and also you're counting on it to make your day that much more impactful. People really, going back to what you said about social media, they could be using it for so much
Yeah.
more,
More.
so much more, and it's used for the wackest garbage. I don't want to see somebody's Rolex.
Right?
I don't want to see your new car. I don't want to see the home that you're building. I want to see what you did for your neighbor. I want to see the meal you bought that homeless guy on the street. I want to see how you just impacted a school of kids. That's what I want to see. That's the shit that gets me hard, not the other nonsense and the
The BS.
garbage. Please, it's nonsense.
So wait, hold on, Ian. Are you telling me that you don't want to see Kim Kardashian's BBL? Because I also saw that reel that you posted.
I There's no part of me. Now, if you asked me this 6, 7 years ago, my answer would be like, give me all that. Now, every time somebody's hiney pops up on my page that is either celebrity or this idolatry nonsense, I want to take my phone and throw it in traffic. My For You page on Instagram is fire. It is all stoicism, it's all gospel, and it's all motivational quotes. I have geared my Instagram to slap so hard for me mentally. I despise the BBL generation. I despise
Right?
everything about it.
But this is the thing too, is that we're talking about like ADD, ADHD. We're talking about like, you know what I mean? Like that scrolling. What I tell my students, I teach radio at Humber College here in Toronto. And I tell my students, I came up with this like years and years ago. I've been teaching there like 10 years, 11 years. And I'm like, we live in a fast food society. We want everything right now. So it's like instant gratification. So we
Yep.
constantly just scroll and our attention like span is down to nothing,
Gone.
right? And so this all like it obviously like social media plays a huge part in that, which I feel that this is why we as users or as content creators, as content creator, use it for the right thing. Go out there and do good with it. You know what I mean? If you have an audience that you can speak to, do good. If you are a user and you are consuming this content, everyone, please do me a favor. Once you're done listening to this podcast, open up your Instagram, your TikTok, your whatever you like to get, wherever you like to get your content, and go through who you are following
Oh,
and start cleaning shit up. Because if you can go through and say, all these people make me feel good about myself, then that's cool. But if at any point you're like, no, fuck, man, no, I feel like shit when I see this
yep.
person.
Yep.
Yeah, because guess what? No one's house is that fucking clean. No one, you know what I mean? Like they
A
all have these
a
like
hundred.
vacations and whatever, but we don't know what's really going on. So
And
just check.
that's the thing. And like, I'm a big believer, again, like biblically speaking, I'm a big believer that the devil is going to talk through people that you know, whether they're in person, family members, or through social media, just to
Yeah.
irritate you. And you always feel it in your gut, always, when something doesn't resonate. And you need to show the proper discernment in life to make sure that if you're not feeling quenched by what you're looking at, get rid of it. Because a lot of people also follow things to doom scroll just so they can hate on it. How does that
Doesn't make
benefit you
sense.
whatsoever? It
It's
makes no sense.
poison.
It's poison to your mind.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. But even with ADHD, like you made a quick comment, most individuals, I don't want to say all, most individuals with ADHD hyper addicted to their phone
Yeah.
because it hits off that same dopaminergic reward system that
Absolutely.
drugs do, food does, alcohol does, and that doom scrolling, they get stuck in these rabbit holes for hours, hours. And now, like you said, their focus has become so tunnel vision and narrow that it has, you remember growing up, we were not supposed to sit too close
In
to a
front of the
TV?
TV. Yeah.
Yeah. Now look, okay, you got them strapped to your face, or or you're an inch away from your face. And all it's doing is literally reconstructing the neurological pathways of the brain in these children. I don't have kids yet. My dream in life, my one goal, I think I got to come to Canada to meet a woman, by the way, because
We'll
they're
find someone for you.
they're terrible in New York. I just like, to all the men out here suffering, they're terrible, okay? But my goal in life is to become a father one day. And I've seen what the damage of these phones have done to these young children. And they become so hyper vigilant and addicted to them that when you go and take it away,
Oh, forget it.
it's chaos, it's war.
Fucking nightmare. This is why I have 3 kids, okay? So one just turned, so the oldest is 13 turning 14, one just turned 12, and then 2 girls. And then my son is turning 10 in October. Um the oldest does have a phone plan. just when she walks to and from school so she can call and say, okay, I'm good, but no data on it
Right.
unless she's in a Wi-Fi area. And she just got Instagram
Okay.
because get this, it was a school assignment. So I was like,
What?
Samantha, what fucking school assignment is this that they're making you get Instagram? Because like I was the mom, all the friends have it, and mom, who's a content creator, is like fucking hell, you're gonna get social
Uh-huh.
media, right?
On it. You know what's on this.
I know the back end. I know how this fucking
Yep.
shit works and what is fed to you. Like you look at TikTok, you don't need to be following. It's for you. It's there. It's being fed to you and you don't have control over what pops up on that page.
Correct.
Unless you're like us and you can really know how to curate your explore page or
Right.
something like that,
Right.
right? Now, I told her when you turn 13, we'll discuss because terms and conditions for social media, you got to be 13 years of age. I did manage to push it off a little bit longer.
Okay.
But also with the three of them, if they are at home Wi-Fi or at dad's house on Wi-Fi, I do have them on my family plan kind of thing, part of like our Apple, our iPhones, and I shut access off at a certain time. And I
Yeah.
can see what the hell they're on.
Yeah.
Like, can I have extra time? I'm like, no, go the fuck to bed. That's what you're gonna fucking get now.
That's
Not
what I
YouTube
tell
time.
all of my parents to do. Excuse me, with their kids. I try and limit at a certain time, let's say
Yeah.
like 6 o'clock at night. They only get an hour to 30 minutes. But then it's making sure that the parents follow suit because you got a lot of lazy
Oh,
parenting now.
fuck.
You got
It's
a
not easy.
lazy parenting now. And that's one of the hardest things of my job because I can only do so much. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not working magic. I'm working minds, but I can't work magic. And
Listen,
if the home is not conducive with the environment that I'm trying to create, and you're going against what I'm saying with the iPad time, with the TV time, with the PlayStation, it's only going to make everything worse and exasperate the actual issue.
right? And I'll tell you, there have been times, I'm not going to lie because I'm not perfect. Listen, I'm not that mom, Ian, okay? There have been times where I'm like, guys, I need to do, a podcast right now, or I was doing the radio show, and I'd be like, I don't care. Just please, just shut the fuck
Yeah,
up while I'm doing this.
I get it.
Here, yes, go ahead, play. You know what I mean?
Oh, I
So
get it.
there are times where I'm just like at wit's end and I'm like, I just can't. I just need, okay, go. Right. But I think that parents need to be more involved when it comes to that and not so freely just be like, yeah, sure, sign up for social media and then just let it be.
And that's the problem, right? Like when I was a kid, my parents gave me a coloring book and an action figure and said, go scratch. And let me tell you something. We had imagination as kids. Okay.
Yes.
I could sit with that same action figure for 3 hours. Okay. I had Batman. Batman doesn't burn down buildings, but I was making Batman burn down buildings. And I was making the nemesis be the good guy. And I would literally have the time of I'd build blocks. I'd be coloring in coloring books. It was such a simpler time because of less accessibility, you know?
Yeah. It was simple.
Yeah, it was simple. And you could also slap a kid back then. You can't really do that now.
Yeah, I know. Listen,
You know?
Italian kid right here. I know that world.
If Italian. My mom, let me tell you something, okay?
Did you flip her?
My my mom was a wooden spoon, had a wooden spoon arsenal, okay? An arsenal of spoons. And she had precision strike. So I could be running away, bang, back of the head.
Yes.
But one look from my mom, which was I shut up. I didn't say another word, okay? These kids, they get the look and they're sitting there flipping their mothers off. Like, what are you going to do about it? Bring back old school parenting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
And my dad was a pro at the look, and I know that he's probably like looking down from heaven right now and he's like, "Yeah, and look at how you turned out." And I got to say, I think I'm pretty good, you know what I mean? But it's so true. And the Italian moms with the wooden spoon, that spoon could turn corners too.
boomerang status, man. That spoon is wild. And she got upgraded over the years, right? So when I
Oh,
was a kid, she had the thin handle with the little spoon. Once that started
yeah.
breaking on my ass, she upgraded to the thicker one. And then eventually she got the indestructible spatula wooden spoon, which when she hit it thudded. Okay.
But you know what? Honestly, like, I'm not condoning abuse, okay, guys? I'm not saying that at all. But I was brought up in a different time. I'm like a 1980s kid, 45-year-old here, And I'll tell you, I learned a lot. And from my mistakes, I learned, maybe don't do that again. Like,
That's what I'm
not
saying.
wise,
That's what I'm saying. I knew not to do something the first time after I did it, strictly based off of the original punishment that I got.
right? And full respect. We were raised to know how to respect our elders.
And was
And
somebody
and friends and everyone.
somebody would walk into the house, my dad always said, "Go shake his hand and look him in the eye." That's how I
Oh
had
my
to
god.
everybody. I got the best handshake in the world because of what my dad made me do as a kid.
Nice.
These
Okay, when I come to New York, I want one.
are bear paws, okay? They shake. But as a child, we were taught respect your elders,
Yeah.
make sure that you are, fully engaging, have eye contact, don't interrupt conversations. If I interrupted a conversation, my mom would pause the conversation, be like, "Don't do that. Say you're sorry." And I was like, "I'm sorry."
Oh my
Y-
god, your parents sound awesome.
My parents are dope.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. We
My
should do
mom,
we
my
should do a
mom,
podcast with them.
my mom is, I've been trying to get my mom on my podcast and she cries over everything. Typical Italian meatball. Like all she does, yeah, all she does is cry. I tell her I love her. "Oh, son, I love you so much." Like, you know, she is the best mother. And shout out to mom, dude. Like
Oh, yes, to
the
Ian's mom. Shout
mom
out.
in the world. I should be dead 30 times over. And the only reason why I'm walking this planet, honestly, the only reason why I'm here is because of the love and the effort that that woman put into making sure that I didn't stay on the paths that I was on. God bless my mom.
I
I
love
love that
her.
woman. I love that
Right?
woman.
And this is why, like, as parents, we need to be healthy. And again, mind, body, soul, because we have these little ones that are looking up to us. And where do they get, you know what I mean? Where do they learn from? They learn from their parents through examples, right? So if they
100%.
see us taking the initiative to work on ourselves, to make our lives better, they will recognize that and say, okay, then I'm going to start doing the same thing. And I want to be like mom. I want to be like dad. I think
Absolutely.
that's huge.
That's massive. And again, kids are so malleable. They're so moldable, you know? They're a sponge. They're going to take in everything that
Yeah.
they see and that they hear. And if they are in an environment where they see their parents having chaos and like ensuing constantly, or they see a mom or a dad not taking care of themselves, psychologically, it's going to subconsciously embed into their psyche to repeat the same behaviors. It's like the child that grows up in an alcoholic household that says, "I'm never going to be like dad," and then winds up becoming an alcoholic. So for you in your situation right now, you going and doing all of this work because you're noticing that a lot of these things that you're going through currently might not be serving the best version of the most optimal version of yourself. Your daughters, your son, they're going to pick up on that. They're going to see that. They're going to want to emulate that. They're going to want to take on the exact same notions, personalities, and responsibilities for themselves of self-care, self-reliance, and self-resiliency that you're implementing. So kudos and accolades to that, because
Thank
that's
you.
such a big thing that parents really don't realize, that they are the strong suit and stronghold in that household to show the children what it is to be.
I love that. And before we wrap things up, if there's like a top three things that we should be doing for ourselves, um, or tools or advice on any of this, you pick whether it's like you want to go the ADHD and ADD route, if you want to talk about mental health or parenting, give me your top three of whatever you think we should leave this conversation with.
So many things.
Oh, I
So
know. You can mix them up.
so many things. I'm gonna include what I would do for both
Okay.
because you can overlay and overlap for mental health and ADHD. The first advice that I would offer is to gain curiosity with yourself. Learn yourself. And what I mean by that is start to ask yourself very simple questions when you feel triggered. Because if you're ever triggered or you ever feel some type of way, it's a doorway for you to examine yourself. So if you're feeling a lot of rumination, a lot of anxiety, a lot of angst, a lot of anger, depression, sadness, get curious. Where is this coming from? Why am I feeling like this? How does this serve me? How does this benefit me? What do I gain from this? What do I lose from this? Very important that we all have a sense of curiosity with ourselves. Second thing, and I should have made this the first thing because this is really the most important thing in the world, have gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude is the antidote to depression. Gratitude is the antidote to sadness. Gratitude is the antidote to life. Whatever happens to you, good or bad, paradoxical in nature, it all serves equal purpose. Gratitude is the most important emotion that an individual can possibly feel in order to heal, mend, and release what it is that's holding on to them. So always feel grateful through all of the good and all of the bad. And the third thing that I would offer is make sure that no matter what happens to you, that you meet everyone in life with compassionate love. That is the best piece of advice that I can offer. Always treat people like they're going through something they're going through something that you're just completely unaware of, because we're all struggling and fighting our own battles any
Absolutely.
given day. And I think the more loving awareness that you exude out into your peers and into your interconnected community, as hard as it may be, it's the one thing that's going to create, which we spoke about earlier, that connection and community for it to be cultivated where people start to feel comfortable and safe.
And I love it because I always say the world would be such a better place with more kindness, compassion, and empathy. And
Mushrooms.
every morning, and every morning I count my blessings and I'm like, what am I grateful for?
It,
So all of that.
it's
Yes,
so
mushrooms.
important. It's so important because most people, and I just want to end with this, and I apologize. Most people wake up every day, they reconnect with yesterday's emotions and yesterday's patterns, and they're trying to create a better tomorrow by yesterday's nonsense. And it's not that they are so immersed in the actual experience of what's making them feel a certain way. Their body almost memorizes the feelings of grief, guilt,
Yes.
pain, shame, wallowing, anger, sadness, and it pulls them out of being present. And they memorize these emotions like a drug. So it anchors them into the past. And the more that you can become familiar with yourself, be grateful for what you have, and love yourself, that is what allows you to regain a sense of presence in the present moment.
I love that. And where can people find you? Because I know everyone's like, okay, I need to check this guy out. I need to follow him. Where do they go? Where do they find Ian, our ADHD coach? Where?
So, three things. You can go to my Instagram, which is Ian ADHD Coach. My podcast with my friend who's a psychologist is called Mindful Conversations. We unpack a lot of these topics. And if you want the full lesson plan that I offer in life, I did write a book, and it's called It's All in Our Mind, which you can find on Amazon. And that is a spiritual self-help, self-healing guidance book, which taps into pretty much so much of what we discussed. And there is a full chapter on mushrooms in there,
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, but that is it for us. I'm Pina Crispo. I'm just not that mom. New episodes drop every other Sunday. Follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.